Alright, hey guys, what's up? I'm just gonna do some algebra problems here so that you guys can kind of watch and listen to how some of these are gonna get done. Hopefully this will help you study for your big proofs quiz coming up. So this is number 11 from worksheet 8, and it says given measures of angles 1 and 2 are 2x plus 5y, and 1 and 2 form a linear pair. Then they also give us that 3 and 4. 3 is 25 minus 2x, and 4 is 2y minus 35. So this is a system problem. Part A says write an equation for 1 and 2. It says don't copy the equation from the given. Write another equation using the first two givens. So what they want you to do for this one is use the 2x plus 5y, since that's the measures of 1 and 2. But I also know that 1 and 2 form a linear pair. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Here, I know that 1 and 2 are 2x plus 5y. Now, I also know that they form a linear pair, so that means that we can add these up to 180 degrees. Now, I'm going to pause there on this equation because really that's all I can do, for right now at least. I obviously can't solve because I have too many unknowns. I have an x and a y. But that's my first equation. Now, my second one says write an equation relating 3 and 4. For this, I have to zoom out. And let's hone in on this diagram right here. What you can see about angles 3 and 4 are that they're vertical angles. So vertical angles are always going to be congruent. Therefore, I can set angles 3 and 4 equal to each other. So my second equation is going to be 25 minus 2x, which is angle 3, equals 2y minus 35. Again, I'm setting them equal because they're vertical angles. Now, I want this in the same form that the previous equation is in. That's x and y on the left side and the number value on the right side. So to do that, I'm going to kind of manipulate this a little bit. And I'm going to subtract the 2y over, and I'm going to subtract the 25 over to the other side too. So just to reiterate that, I'm going to write down here 25 minus 2x equals 2y minus 35. I just copied that equation down, and now I'm going to manipulate it a little bit so I can get x and y on the same side and the constant or the number on the other side of the equal sign. 2y is not going to combine with anything. Okay, and at the same time I'm going to do this minus 25 over here. Okay, so when I manipulate that, I get negative 2x minus 2y equals, let's see, negative 60. Perfect. This is my second equation. So now, as you can see, I have two equations, putting a star by the first one in green and a star by the second one. That's going to be the system. So I have to set these up. I have to line these up. And I'm going to do that right over here. So I have 2x plus 5y equals 180. And the other one is negative 2x minus 2y equals negative 60. This is pretty convenient. Because my x's will cancel. And I'll get 3y equals 120. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So I get y equals 40. Now I'm not completely done. I have to find y. I'm sorry, I just found y. I have to find x. To do that, I'm just going to plug into either one. So 2x plus 5 times 40 equals 180. Five times 40 gives me the 200 equals 180. Okay, so I'm going to subtract over the 200. I get 2x equals negative 20. So x equals negative 10. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, sorry about that. So now we know that x equals negative 10, and we can plug in to find the measures of angle 3 and 4. So I know 25 minus 2, I'm going to plug in negative 10 for x since I just found out that x is negative 10. All right, I get 25. Negative 2 times negative 10 is going to give me a positive 20, and that's going to give me 45 degrees. Now for y, I'm going to plug in 2 times y, which is 40, minus 35. It's going to give me 80 minus 35. And 80 minus 35 just so happens to be 45. It's nice that they're both the same measure because we know they have to be since they are vertical angles. It's a good way to check our work. All right, so that's that problem. Let's go on to the next. All right, this is a factoring problem. So much fun. So with this one, it's going back to the basics, you guys. I don't know anything is a midpoint for sure. All I know is that if I add CA and AT, it's going to equal the whole thing, which is 30. All right, so I'm just going to set up CA, which is 2x squared minus 4x. Add that to the 18 minus x. Set that equal to the whole thing, which is 30. I'm going to combine my like terms here, you guys. And I get negative 5x. I cannot combine anything else, so I get 2x squared minus 5x and plus 18 equals 30. Now, if I want to factor, I have to get everything to the same side. So in order to do that, I'm just going to subtract over this 30 to the 18. So I get 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals 0. Now I'm ready to factor. Now this problem we're going to have to do some split the middle factoring, which is going to take a couple steps, which is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do my diamond. 2 times negative 12 gives me my top number, which is negative 24. My bottom number is going to be that B middle term, negative 5. All right, you guys, two numbers that are going to multiply to negative 24 and add to negative 5. We're going to go here with negative 8 and 3. Negative 8 plus 3, that gives me negative 5. Negative 8 times 3, that's 24. I'm going to take the middle and split it up. Minus 8x plus 3x. Drop down my first and last terms. And now I'm just going to factor by grouping. So I'm going to take the first two and factor out a 2x. I'm left with x minus 4. Second group, I'm going to take out a 3, and I'm left with x minus 4. I'm in good shape because those all match. All right, so my final factors are my outside pieces, 2x plus 3 and x minus 4 equals 0. Solving, I'm going to set each piece equal to 0. Subtract over the 3 and divide by 2. I get negative 3 halves. For my first answer, second answer, I get x equals 4. I have to check both answers just in case. So in order to do that, straighten that out. I have to check to make sure that both work, and that's going to be kind of irritating with the fraction. But when you do the work, you end up finding that both do work in the equation, so you would have two answers. So now I just quickly did the work, and I just want you guys to see that actually both answers do work, as I mentioned. So when I plug in -3/2, it is definitely not the prettiest work, but you could use your calculator, and you'll get that the left side of the segment is 10.5, the right side is 19.5, and sure enough, if I add those together, I do get 30. So -3/2 actually works. Same thing over here with x equals 4. If I plug in x equals 4 for the left side, I get 16, right side I get 14, and those do add to 30. So all of the solutions work. There are two answers, x equals -3/2 and x equals 4. Clearly, that middle point A is not a midpoint because each side, each length of each part is not congruent. Okay, next problem is number 13, and here I'm given that HYK is 88 degrees. That's the entire thing. I'm given that HYC, which is this angle that I just highlighted, is congruent to OYK. All right, cool. And I'm given that HYO is 7x minus 13. The middle one, OYC, is 3y. And finally, that last piece is 4x plus 8. Okay, so the first thing I notice, you guys, is that there's an overlap here in the congruent angles. They overlap with that middle angle. So that's going to tell me that I could actually use the subtraction theorem on this. And I don't have to write down a proof, but the subtraction theorem is going to tell me that these pieces, the 7x minus 13 and the 4x plus 8, those angles are actually going to be equal. Angle HYO is congruent to angle CYK, so these pieces, by the subtraction theorem. You wouldn't have to write that down on your quiz, but that's the reason why they're congruent. So therefore, I can set these equals. So 7x minus 13 is equal to 4x plus 8, and now it's just a solving game. I'm going to subtract over the 4x, and I get 3x minus 13 equals 8, and I'm going to add over the 13. So I get 3x equals 21. Divide both sides by 3. Final answer for x is going to be x equals 7. Cool. Now, I also have to find the value of y. Well, in order to do that, guys, I need to plug back in. I'm going to plug in the x to these two angles so I can find those measures. Let's go ahead and start 4 times 7 plus 8. 4 times 7 is 28. Add 8 to that, and what do I get? I get 36. Okay, so this angle over here that I am circling in red is 36. That also means that HYO has to be 36 because they're congruent. All right, so I know that both the angles are 36, and I need to figure out that middle angle, that leftover piece. So 36 times 2 is 72, and the whole entire angle is 88. So if I subtract out that 72, I find out that that middle piece, that middle angle must be 16 degrees. So in order to solve for y, you guys, I could take that 3y, set it equal to that middle angle 16, and I get y equals 16 over 3. Again, not the prettiest answer, but it sure does work. HYO, we already found that, you guys. HYO is 36, so there's my answer. I like that problem. It's a good one. All right, guys, last problem of the night. Here I'm given angle 1 and 3 are supplementary. I'm going to write that down. 1 sub to 3. Now, I can also assume from the picture that angles 1 and 2 are supplementary. They form a linear pair. If linear pair, then supplementary. I'm not writing a proof, so I don't have to write all of that out, but I can write down angle 1 is also sup to angle 2. Let's talk about what this means. If I have two angles that are both supplementary to angle 1, they're both supplementary to the same angle, that means that those two angles are going to be congruent. That means angles 2 and 3 are congruent. Boom. And boom, those are congruent, so that means that I can set those expressions equal to each other. I can take the 6y minus 34, set it equal to 4y plus 12, and now I can just solve for y. I'm going to subtract over the 4y. I get 2y minus 34 equals 12. Now I'm going to add over that 34. So I get 2y equals 46. Uh-oh. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and I get y equals 23. Very nice. Okay, so next I have to solve for x. That's going to take a minute. So what I do know is that y is 23, so I'm just going to plug that in to either one of my angles. It doesn't matter if it's 2 or 3. And I'm going to find what the measure of angle 3 is. Okay, or what the measure of angle 2 is. So I'm plugging in 23. Okay, and then plus the 12. So 4 times 23 is 92. And plus 12 is going to give me 104. Okay, so that is both angles 2 and 3 are 104 because they're congruent. Now, in order to find what angle 1 is, you guys, I know that angles 1 and 2 are supplementary. So I just found the measure, and 1 and 3 are supplementary as well. So I just found the measure of angle 3, so I have to take 180 minus that angle, and then I'm going to get what angle 1 is, which is 76. Okay, so if that's 76, then I can take this 5x plus 11, and I can set it equal to 76. So 5x plus 11 equals 76, because that's what angle 1 equals. All right. So I subtract 11 to both sides. I get 5x equals 65. Divide both sides by 5, and I get x equals 13. Very nice. Very nice. All right, it also asks me to find each measure of each angle, which we already did that, guys. We already found that measure of angle 1 has to be 76, angle 2 has to be 104, and angle 3 has to be 104. So that's how we're going to do those problems. Now, I've done 4 problems for you guys. It was all on your homework. Hopefully this helps you guys get ready for our big quiz on Friday. Good luck studying.